The District, Season 1, Chapter 10, The Announcement, and Knowledge Check 2. Margaret addresses the whole floor for the first time, announcing an internal financial review. Calm, composed, and completely convincing, except for one moment that catches Isabel off guard. What does it mean to get to the bottom of something? Why do we say someone puts on a brave face? And how does the phrase going to sound when speakers add real urgency to it? At 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning, the entire floor gathered near the central atrium, an unusual sight that immediately told Isabel something significant was happening. Margaret Collins stood at the front, composed as always, dressed sharply, her expression giving away absolutely nothing. "Thank you all for your time," she began, her voice calm and even. "I wanted to address something directly, rather than letting rumors continue circulating." A quiet murmur passed through the room before settling. "As some of you may have heard, we are initiating an internal financial review," Margaret continued. "This is routine due diligence, standard practice for a firm our size, conducted periodically to ensure our reporting processes remain accurate and fully compliant." Isabel glanced sideways at James, who kept his expression carefully neutral. "I want to be clear," Margaret said. "This is not a response to any specific concern. It's simply good practice. Richard's team will be reviewing recent transactions across departments over the coming weeks. I expect everyone's full cooperation." Derek, standing near the back, raised his hand slightly. "Will this affect client-facing work?" "Minimally," Margaret said smoothly. "We intend to get to the bottom of our standard procedures quickly and efficiently, with as little disruption as possible." The meeting continued for a few more minutes, questions answered with practiced, careful precision. Margaret handled every question exactly the way Isabel imagined a seasoned executive should: calm, controlled, reassuring. And yet, as the meeting wrapped up and people began drifting back to their desks, Isabel noticed something small. For just a fraction of a second, as Margaret turned to leave, her eyes swept briefly across the room and landed, however briefly, on Isabel. It wasn't long, it wasn't dramatic, but it was there. "Well, that was something," James murmured as they walked back together. "Routine due diligence, huh?" "You don't believe that?" Isabel asked quietly. James shrugged, though his easy demeanor felt a little more like a brave face than usual. "I believe what I'm told, mostly." "Mostly?" "Let's just say," James said, lowering his voice, "executives don't usually call company wide meetings for truly routine things. But hey, what do I know?" Isabel didn't respond right away. Her mind was still on that brief, unreadable look Margaret had given her. It probably meant nothing. Probably. Hi everyone, welcome back to The District, Chapter 10, The Announcement. And this is another special one, our second knowledge check chapter. Let's get into the language first. Let's start with Margaret's own phrase during the meeting. We intend to get to the bottom of our standard procedures quickly. To get to the bottom of something means to fully investigate and understand the real truth or cause of a situation, especially something confusing or hidden. We need to get to the bottom of this issue, or I won't stop until I get to the bottom of what happened. It's a fantastic idiom for describing thorough investigation, and notice the layered irony here. Margaret uses it casually, while the audience and Isabel sense something deeper might actually need investigating. Now, let's look at something said about James. His easy demeanor felt a little more like a brave face than usual. To put on a brave face means to act calm, confident, or unaffected on the outside, even when you're actually worried, scared, or upset on the inside. She put on a brave face during the interview, even though she was terrified. It's a beautifully human idiom describing the gap between how we appear and how we actually feel, which fits James perfectly in this moment. Grammar wise, let's look at Margaret's sentence. This is not a response to any specific concern. Notice the structure not a response to, using a noun phrase rather than a verb to formally and precisely deny connection between two things. This kind of careful, somewhat distancing language is very common in professional or corporate communication, where speakers often choose noun based structures to sound measured and controlled, rather than more emotional verb based alternatives like we are not responding to. Now, pronunciation time. Let's listen to urgency in spoken English through this phrase. We are initiating an internal financial review. In fast speech, we are going to or we are initiating can carry very different emotional weight depending on speed and stress, even with formal vocabulary. Listen for how Margaret's measured, slower pace throughout her announcement is a deliberate technique. Slower, more even pacing in spoken English often signals control and authority, while faster, less even pacing usually signals nervousness or urgency. This is a wonderful real world pronunciation and delivery lesson. Pace itself communicates meaning just as much as words do. Let's go back to James' slightly evasive answer. I believe what I'm told mostly. The word mostly, placed alone at the end like that, functions almost as its own short sentence, signaling a significant but understated qualification. It's a very natural, very common habit in English, adding doubt or nuance through a single short word after a pause, rather than a long or longer explanation. I'm fine, mostly. Or I trust him, mostly. It's an efficient, subtle way to communicate hesitation without elaborating. And finally, let's notice Derek's question structure. Will this affect client facing work? The term client facing is a really useful piece of business vocabulary describing work, roles, or teams that directly interact with clients or customers, as opposed to internal behind the scenes work. She moved from a client facing role to an internal strategy position. It's an essential phrase for describing organizational structure in professional English. That's our lesson for chapter 10. We covered the idiom get to the bottom of, the idiom put on a brave face, formal noun based denial structures like not a response to, the way pacing and delivery itself communicates control versus urgency, the standalone qualifier mostly, and the business vocabulary term client facing. Time for your second knowledge check. This one covers everything from Patricia's quiet reflections on Spanstone's history through Derek's clearance, all the way to today's company wide announcement from Margaret. The link to the word wall activity is in the video description below. As always, the goal isn't perfection, it's noticing how much natural English is sticking with you, chapter by chapter. So, Margaret delivers her calm, composed, perfectly reasonable explanation, and almost everyone in the room believes her completely. Almost. In our next chapter, James finally tells Isabel the truth about everything he's been hiding. And it's not at all what she expected. I'll see you there.